Both of these players are excited.
He's
Once
masking,
again, guys.
man. He's masking it.
Once again, guys, get hyped because one of these two players will be our senior division world champion. And now let's take a look at the prizes, actually. Right away, we see a Professor Sycamore combined with pretty much nothing. I actually like his prizes quite a bit here.
Yeah, and on the other side...
Fighting Fury Belt, two of that could prove to be a factor if you don't get a Fighting Fury Belt onto your Seismitoad. It might be way easier for this Vespiquen to knock you out.
Yeah, he's going to lose a lot of hit points potentially that he could have had, and we are underway.
We are indeed underway. A handshake does come down, and Jesper, I believe, gets to go first against a lone Zubat start with a Yanmega start from himself.
Yeah, we see he's going to go ahead and start off immediately with a Judge. So
Judge is a great card to play whenever you're playing Yanmega. Obviously, you immediately bring both you and your opponent up or down to a 4-card hand.
Yeah, unfortunate that for him that he didn't get to play some of those cards out of his hand. Usually you want to play a lot of cards on your opening turn and then go into that Judge. A little disruption on your opponent's side. They don't get to start with that 7-card hand. They're essentially down to a 5-card hand because of the top decks. And, I mean, we'll see if that's able to stall Connor a little bit.
Both players are shuffling now, and both will be drawing 4 cards. Remember, Connor has not even started his first turn of the game, and he's already down to a 4-card hand. It is a very disruptive card early in the game.
All right, and this turn is not over. We see the
Ultra Ball combined with a Combi as well. That's going to get him a Shaman, which is going to allow him to set up for 6 additional cards. This Judge did not hurt him at all. It actually helped him tremendously, as now he also has a Pokemon in his discard pile to aid in Vespiquen's additional damage.
Yeah, it's a big risk when you're coming into the World Championships, and you have to go ahead and put yourself down to 4 cards immediately, but he was rewarded. He found the Shaman EX, and he's going to get to draw 6 fresh cards.
And not only that, but he also gets a Combi into play, which is very important to get. You're not guaranteed to be able to attack with Yanmega, so if you can get a Vespiquen attacking on turn 2, remember, Seismitoad is weak to grass, so you do not need too many Pokemon in your discard pile to be able to take 2 prizes on your second turn of the game.
Yeah, no, we see cards like Level Ball, Ultra Ball, Shaman EX, a lot of cards that can be played still, so this turn is going to continue on. And the one card that I see that's missing right now, he's going to need to find that stadium, the Forest of Giant Plants.
That's right. He does bring a Spinnerack to the top of the deck, or to the bottom of the deck, I guess. It looks like that's going to be the choice that he's going to go for, but he is taking a look and checking to see if there's any additional cards he might want. But you're absolutely right. Forest of Giant Plants is by far going to be the #1 card to find here.
Yeah, we'll see what he decides is the most important for this matchup here. He's checking out the Spinnerack, and I assume that he's going to want to try to find as many Yanmega as possible to get those down early and often, and then eventually follow up with that Vespiquen.
Now, remember that because Level Ball can find any Pokemon with 90 hit points or less, he could have found any basic in his deck that evolves right there, or a Vespiquen. He chose to go with the Spinnerack to be able to get an Ariados into play as soon as possible.
Yeah, we'll see.
He also has another Shaman in hand, too, if he wants to use it. And sure enough, he's going to be Ultra Balling here. I'd be surprised if he doesn't Shaman again before the end of his turn. So he's going to be taking a pretty long turn, but that's not too uncommon in this trading card game.
Yeah, I like the fact that he went through and he took the Spinnerack just because he wanted to put it in the discard pile. He doesn't want to see this in the future turns. And
right, he doesn't actually need Ariados' additional damage in this matchup.
Yeah, weakness is pretty good. So
10 damage kind of fades in comparison when you have a Pokemon that can deal 200+ damage.
Yeah, and the rest of his hand plays out besides one Vespiquen, I believe. So he should be able to draw 5 fresh cards off of the Shaman EX as well. So I mean,
that's a great start, man.
This
if he
is
can't
what we're talking about.
Plants here.
Jesper's deck is just built to do this over and over again. He's going to play 30 cards.
There it is.
There it is. So he's going to find that later, hopefully, for himself.
Well, the cat's out of the bag. He plays Forest of Giant Plants.
Connor's like, oh, no. Maybe he forgoes it. Who knows? We see the shuffling going on here, and Jesper's just going to mull over some options. And maybe he doesn't want to play this double colorless energy just yet. We'll see if he decides to go with 4 or 5 cards here. So yeah, he's going to go ahead and play it on the Combi, and he can find himself 5 fresh cards.
Shaman does indeed find him 5 cards. Will he find the Force the Giant Plants? He does not yet.
Yeah,
he did play a Judge earlier in this turn, so he cannot play another supporter card yet. But he does have a 3rd Ultra Ball now.
Yeah. And
what a first turn, man.
Connor is frozen over there on the other side. He's just like, can I please get a turn? Because this is
Remember, he's down to a 4-card hand, too.
Yeah. And over on his side, all I saw really was an N. So if Jesper plays his whole hand down again, he has to refresh his hand up to 6 for him. That doesn't feel good.
Now, There is no Force of Giant Plant, so the Yanmega cannot come down quite yet.
Yeah, and I mean, he even has some of his supporter cards that he wants to have in the discard pile for later with that VS Seeker. So he has the Sycamore he's going to place in his hand just in case the Quaking Punch lock does come into effect next turn.
That is the reason why he played that Ultra Ball. He knows that his opponent can very easily get a turn 1 Quaking Punch here going second. So hedging your bets there, playing your Versus Seeker, playing your Ultra Ball, you know you're going to want that Yanmega early on.
Yeah.
And now he's playing a second Versus Seeker, I believe, and that's going to find him a Lysander.
Right. I mean, you might as well go ahead and catch these
Like that's going to be the end of his turn. Sure enough, that is the end of his turn, and Connor finally gets to draw his first card of the game. He is now up to a 5-card hand to start this game out with a Zubat. Right away, he just plays an end. That 5-card hand was awful for him, but at least he had a supporter card to be able to refresh his hand.
You see on the other side, Jesper laid down 4 cards. I assume that he does that a lot in his games because he always is going to want to have 4 cards. So he went ahead and did it for this first turn. I expect to see that over and over again.
His turn could have very easily just been evolved to Yanmega, attack, pass.
Yeah. We see on the other side, Connor, he's going to need to find some cards, and he only has these 6 to work with here. He's probably going to need to find some Shaman shenanigans to really get him going. But a lot of item cards, does he have an Ultra? He does have an Ultra Ball.
He does have an Ultra Ball,
he can thin out a little bit more, get his hand down a little lower. He has Super Scoop Up as well, so we could see this Shaman used over and over again.
He could also use the Super Scoop Up. Well, no, he can't.
He could use it right now and forfeit the game.
Sure, why not? That could work.
We are going to
He's actually going for a Seismitoad here, not a Shaman.
Yeah, he has the Shaman in hand, so he's just going to make sure that he has the Seismitoad here for himself on the bench.
All right, so now he's going to be able to play the Super Scoop Up first if he prefers to, kind of get that Zubat out of the active spot, bring his Seismitoad up active. He can draw additional cards that way, and he is going to choose to do that instead of trying to Super Scoop Up a Shaman later on.
Yeah.
Tails on the Super Scoop Up.
Yeah, use his body to protect it on the table there. He's going to go ahead and get himself
a 5-card setup here by Connor.
Yep. His last card was the Silent Lab. Glad he didn't play that. And we see some more Super Scoop Ups, some more cards, but do we see any energy?
I don't see any energy, at least not obviously. Nope, definitely no energy there. Now, he can choose to play that Silent Lab. He can also choose to just play a Super Scoop Up here, and if he gets heads, like maybe set up again with Shaman.
Yeah, he's
thinking about it. I mean, the truth is his hand just has nothing going on for it, so I think that's definitely the correct play here. Will he get a heads here and potentially draw into a double color synergy with a new setup? I guess we'll find out.
once his coin flip comes
a big coin flip here. He does get heads. Now, is he going to actually scoop up the Zubat instead? He scoops up Zubat instead of a Shaman, brings up Seismitoad. And is he just going to pass the turn at the end of a... Yeah, that is the end of a turn. So now it's up to Jesper here. Will Jesper be able to attack and knock out the Seismitoad? It's going to be tough.
Yeah, we do see the bursting balloon come down, and this is just how Jesper's deck really starts rolling. Right now, he doesn't even need the Forest Giant Plants to get himself that aggressive opening. He just has all these Pokemon right now. The only reason he would do it now is if he wants to find the Yanmega break. So we see the double colorless come down into play, and I'm interested to see how the rest of his turn plays out.
That's right. And actually, remember that because there is no Pokemon tool attached to the Seismitoad, Yanmega on its own will actually not be able to knock out a Seismitoad either. So at this point in time, the Seismitoad's looking pretty beefy as long as we don't see a Vespiquen with a few more Pokemon in the discard pile.
Yeah, and we saw that Connor prized 2 of his Fighting Fury belts. So
right. Not to mention that he probably wouldn't play them in this match.
Yeah, you want to make sure you don't play into the Assault Boom as much as possible. And we will see a judge on the other side. So
yeah, a judge one more time here from Jesper brings both players back down to a 4-card hand. Jesper's still looking for some help here. Remember, he never found his Force of Giant Plants. He still has a bunch of basic Pokemon, 0 evolutions in play. He's hoping to change that.
And we do see the Yanmega and Battle Compressor and Energy. And is that a Vespiquen on the other side too? So
I thought I saw a Vespiquen. It might have been a Yanmega though.
I'm interested to see how many cards, Pokemon he has in his discard pile just yet.
Well, because of the Battle Compressor, it's looking like he can get quite a bit of damage onto him. If it's not a 1-hit KO, it'll be a 2-hit KO.
Yeah, we know at least Spinarak is in there, so he has 3 right now. I think he's going to be just short of using the Vespiquen.
Looks like it'll only be dealing about 160 damage right now. That's if he gets all 3 Pokemon.
Yeah, we'll see what he's going to go ahead and do. I mean, it's a lot of damage. You might want to go ahead and put it down now. You might also want to use Air Slash and just start to soften up the Seismitoad too.
All right, well, he is going to be getting 3 Pokemon here. Does he have a way to get another Pokemon into his discard pile? I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, it didn't look like his hand was going to give him that option. And, I mean, with Yama, you can start to soften up this Toad, and then in the future, the rest of the Seismitoads will be able to be knocked out by a Vespiquen.
I just put a dive to mark how many.
Now, remember, Yanma does have a retreat cost, so he would have to discard the double color synergy if he chose to retreat without evolving.
Yep. He will go ahead and evolve. And he's going to go ahead and bring up that Vespiquen, and it is going to be
I believe it's 160
just
damage.
short.
Yeah, 20 HP left.
Oh, he's going to use the intelligence gathering. Yeah, this is a great play. His hand was very low, and he's just going to refresh himself. And this also puts enough damage so that the Seismitoad can be knocked out next turn by a B Revenge.
Right. Remember, we said it would have 20 HP left. Now he deals 20 damage this way. It's actually a reverse way to do it. He actually just intelligence gatherings, draws himself like 5 additional cards because his hand was down to like 1 or 2. And sure enough, that extra damage is inconsequential here.
Yeah, a knockout would have been great, but he goes ahead and sees, I need to get my hand freshened up. It was going to be just short, so let's go ahead and put some damage on and draw all these cards.
Now check that play out by Connor, by the way. He actually chose to Lysander up a Shaman because he saw that.
Oh, look at the AZ.
Energy. Wow.
That's going to be huge. There's just enough damage on this Seismitoad right now. Jesper really doesn't have to play too many cards down. He can just go ahead and set his board up to put himself in a pretty dominant position here.
Yeah, I mean, his board is already pretty set up, right? Like, all he wants to do is maybe potentially evolve into another Yanmega, maybe get his first Yanmega break into play. But realistically, I mean, what else can you really ask for here?
I think he's got it.
He's definitely going to be able to KO this Seismitoad on this turn, by the way.
Yes, and he's going to use the level ball here, looking for...
Oh, he cannot level
Quaking
ball.
Punch.
Yeah, he cannot level ball because there is a Quaking Punch, so he does get stopped. He actually looked through his deck, so it might be a warning, but he didn't actually do anything too crazy.
Yeah, I mean, we are in the finals. It's a high pressure situation.
It is. I mean,
yeah, sometimes you just...
Seismitoad's been around for a while, so I mean, obviously you're well aware of the Quaking Punch, but at the same time, the nerves might get to you. It's the championship finals, right?
Yeah, I mean, you already start thinking, oh, I already knocked it out. Then maybe it's already gone because he's got the knockout set up. He's in a pretty good spot, and
a sheepish smile by Jesper. I mean, clearly he's a little bit embarrassed. He understands that this is a mistake he wouldn't normally make.
Right. I mean, taking a look at this board position, he's in such a great spot, and it's very difficult for Connor to really establish.
It's good that they caught it, though, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
It's really good that they caught it right away.
And not too much was done. He looked through a little bit of his deck, so
like
yeah.
2 seconds.
Yeah, go ahead and shuffle.
Hopefully it's just a warning and just a shuffle of the deck.
Right.
And it looks like... Yeah, he's going to go ahead. It was a prize penalty, so Connor is going to get himself the first prize of the game.
Well, there we go. First blood taken by Connor Pedersen there as a prize penalty is assessed against Jesper Eriksen.
It's all part of the strategy. He's just trying to get his hand a little worse for the ends. So.
I know, right? Get his opponent down to a little nonsense with that. Now, actually, that's a good point that you make. Jesper's supporter line is a little bit on the awkward side because of the judges. Like, judges aren't something that you normally see in decks anymore because N has replaced them, but he actually switches to a 2-2 N judge line instead of just like the 4 Ns that people normally play. And he's already played a couple of judges, so he's only got Ns left to play at this point unless he plays a Versus Seeker.
Yeah, and he already used 2 of those Versus Seeker trying to get himself some supporters in case of the Quaking Punch lock. So yeah, we may not see too many judge from this point on, and if he's drawing all these prize cards, that means that his Yanmega doesn't have a free energy cost anymore.
All right, well, here's that strategy that we were talking about. He does start to swarm these Golbats and Crobats.
Sneaky bite.
A little sneaky. And an N is also played here by Connor. Remember, Jesper did knock out that Seismitoad at the end of his own turn, so he is down to 4 prizes as opposed to his opponent's 5. Jesper's going to be drawing 1 less card than his opponent here.
Yeah, and Connor, I'm sure he wants to see a little bit more of this Crobat line to really get rolling. If he can just start placing a lot of damage on the board, it's another way to clean up this matchup for himself. If he can use these Crobats and maybe even attack with them, trying to get some more damage down, clean up these Vespiquens like you were talking about, maybe these Yanmegas don't have the energies to attack you and he doesn't have the cards in hand.
It's still early enough in the game that there's a chance that Jesper won't be able to one-hit KO a Crobat yet. I mean, don't get me wrong, Vespiquen definitely deals a ton of damage, but it does take a little while for it to get these that critical mass amount of Pokemon into the
Yeah,
team
I think he's only at like 6 right now.
Right,
so
something along those
he's
lines.
still got a little while way to go.
Need to find a couple more battle compressors.
Need to let these Yanmegos get knocked out.
And also interesting to note is that his Pokemon line is very thin compared to other Vespiquen decks. He only plays 24 Pokemon, so for him to deal something like 130 damage would not be too easy, for example.
Yeah, we see a little bit of an irrelevant stadium change. There's not too much healing going on. There's not too much more evolving going on. So we will see Jesper
All right,
taking
that's another
the prize
knockout
on the
there.
Zubat.
A Yanmega break attacks here and knocks out that Zubat. Down it goes, and Jesper is down to 3 prizes here in this first game of the Senior Division Finals.
Yeah, he was able to forego the energy cost on that Pokemon because he had 4 cards in his hand. So once again, we're just going to see him over and over again.
Looks like we're going to be seeing an evolution here from Crobat, and 30 damage is placed onto that Vespiquen. It's got 50 damage on it, 40 hit points remaining. Now a Super Rod will be getting back a, what is it, a Zubat?
Yeah, he's looking at Seismitoad and...
Now, here's the issue with this matchup here for Connor. If you notice, he just played a double colorless energy onto his Seismitoad. What's he going to really be doing here? Can he even afford to, Quaking Punch and give up a couple more prizes here? Remember that that Vespiquen has not been knocked out yet.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the Yanmega break isn't as intimidating because you don't have to calculate the weakness. But, I mean, the Vespiquen is definitely a threat, and it doesn't look like it's going to be taken out anytime soon because there's not enough Crobat Pokemon to really get moving. He has a Zubat in hand, so he can maybe get a couple more Golbat down, but I mean, it's going to take multiple turns.
If only that forced the Giant Plants to let him evolve himself. But no, those Zubats are going to have to wait 1 turn before, or at least that Zubat that just came down is going to have to wait 1 turn before it can evolve.
Yeah.
Versus Seeker lets him find any supporter he wants to find. He can go for the Lysander strategy again if he chooses to, and sure enough, he does. Brings up that Shaman. That's kind of a desperation play, but I mean, when that's all you got going for you, remember your opponent already played 1 AZ. How many more can he have?
Yeah, and I mean, an energy as well is going to be enough to take out this Seismitoad here. And
now he doesn't have an energy quite yet, and he's forced to pass
so
a turn.
Connor's strategy is working out for him.
Now, can he knock out the
Golbat.
Vespiquen on the bench? A Sycamore is going to draw him 7 additional cards. Connor's going to need a lot of help here, but he might be able to find it.
We see he's looking through not too much help just yet.
Well,
Yep,
I mean, it's going to be a slow, grindy process, I believe. It's not going to be something that just happens right away. Connor is going to be trying to lock this Shaman in the active position for at least another turn. And sure enough, a Golbat does come down. That's 70 damage now onto this Vespiquen. It's 20 hit points away from being knocked out. Once that Vespiquen goes down, he won't have another Vespiquen
on the top
attack him available.
It's a Sycamore. So he's gonna go ahead and use that Sycamore there. He's gonna try to find himself 7 fresh cards, possibly the energy that can get him out of this spot.
He does look for it.
And
he does
it
find a
is.
double colorless energy right away. That double colorless energy is going to allow him to retreat and knock out the Seismitoad, bring himself down to a single prize card.
Wow.
That was a huge draw for Jesper here, and you saw how he fist pumped. He knew it was going to be a big draw. Plays a Force of Giant Plants, gets rid of that Silent Lab, attaches that double colorless energy. Now, if he chooses to retreat here and bring up this Vespiquen, he will get a knockout on the Seismitoad. Sure enough, he chooses to do so, and Vespiquen will be able to be revenged, bring himself down to a single prize, and Seismitoad will be going down.
Yeah. Now this is a spot that it looks bad for Connor, but not necessarily because Jesper only has 1 more double colorless energy to work with, and he's going to be very, very reliant on having 4 cards in his hand at this point. That's when N comes into play. He only has 1 prize card left, so if Connor's able to find an N on this turn, it could be a huge tempo swing right back in his favor.
That's right, and more importantly, remember that Shaman has already discarded a double colorless energy to retreat, so if you can bring that Shaman back up at some point, then maybe you can just lock your opponent out of the game. There is still hope here for Connor. It's not over yet, even though he is down a significant amount of prizes.
Yeah, we see he's contemplating the water energy attachment, maybe just using Crobat's attack just to do that 30 damage that's necessary to remove this Vespiquen.
Attaches an energy to the Crobat.
VS Seeker.
Plays a Versus Seeker. Will that Versus Seeker be finding an N, or will it find a Lysander? He's going for an N here. Plays that N, brings Jesper down to a single card in his hand, and at this point, he's got to be looking for a way to knock out this Vespiquen. Or, I mean, I guess he does have it already if he chooses to do so.
Yeah, this is exactly what he needed. He needed to make sure that Jesper's down to one card in hand, and that if these cards aren't something that he can work with, he's just going to be passing the turns as well. So Connor gets to set up that he was using Lysanders to stall, but now every Pokemon is not going to be doing anything to him. So, I mean, this is a pretty good spot for Connor if Jesper just doesn't roll out of it.
That's right. Now, Yon Mega Break does have a double color synergy attached.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow. What a huge card drawn here by Jesper. His one card hand is a Sycamore.
Unbelievable. That is exactly what you want to see, using all of your luck here in the finals.
No kidding. He does indeed have quite a bit of a lucky streak here in this finals. He draws a card.
He even can evolve.
Connor is right about to
go ahead and discard that. Get himself down. He wants to get a couple more Pokemon in the discard pile. For Vespiquen, if he is able to find that last double colorless energy.
He has not found the double colorless energy quite yet, though.
But he found a couple to put back into his deck. He can use the special charge.
Special charge does bring 2 more double colorless energies into your deck. That's exactly what you want to be seeing, but you do not have access to them quite yet. You have to find them from your deck. It's not enough.
Yeah, we'll see what else he has in his hand. There is no Silent Lab in place, so possibly another Shaman could come down. He has the evolution. He also can...
Very clever play by him by not evolving last turn, by the way.
Right, yeah.
Or before playing the Sycamore.
I mean, he gave himself one more option to play a card this turn.
And get himself down to a 4-card hand, exactly.
And he helped his
Now, he does attack for 100 damage onto that Crobat. That Crobat is very, very close to being knocked out. And remember, that would be his final prize there.
Yeah, I mean, even...
Connor's got his back against the wall. Connor's done everything he can. He's been playing Lysander. He's been playing ends to bring his opponent down to a single card. And Jesper has just had an answer for everything.
Scoop up.
A super scoop up here by Connor.
Oh.
Tails on the super scoop up does not allow him to bring up that Crobat.
And he's going to need to find an N. I just don't see the cards in his hand just yet. So he might just be giving up the game here. I don't know what else he
It's
can
tough,
do.
man, but he still has some options, right? He's got an Ultra Ball in his hand. He's got a few other cards. He might still be able to do something around to keep himself in this game.
I mean,
it's tough to figure out what.
He has to hope that Jesper draws a card and just can't play any of them.
Crobat deals 30 damage to this Shaman. At this point, that Shaman is being targeted to get Connor a couple more prizes. Will Crobat be able
actually, here, if he has the Golbat, he can take out the Shaman, give himself 2 cards.
He does have the Golbat.
Hopefully
He had a Golbat in his hand, and the Shaman goes down. That's 2 more prizes taken here by Connor. Connor's now immediately down to 2 prizes here.
Oh, look, we see the N is at the top. Is he going to go ahead and grab up there, though?
That would be some insane
next level plays, man.
He takes 2 prizes. Oh, the N is still at the top of the prizes.
And he's just going to go ahead and bring up this other Crobat because it has the most hit points.
That's all he can really do at this point. Now, does Jesper have what it takes? He does find the double color synergy right away. A handshake is stretched out. Jesper wins the very first game of this top 8, or of this senior division finals. Quaking Punch quite yet, but he will be able to stop his, or Quaking Punch before his opponent can evolve.
Yeah, no, Connor had a couple options of supporter here. He also has Super Scoop Up in hand, so expect this to be a pretty long turn. He's probably going to be able to use Shaman multiple times and get himself a pretty nice start with all of these Zubat in play, most likely.
Right. Similar first turn to the last game where he plays an Ultra Ball for a Seismitoad. This time, does he have something to back it up? He does have a Super Scoop Up as well, just like last game.
Yeah, he's going to go ahead and try the same play.
All right, goes for a Super Scoop Up here.
Was unsuccessful on every flip last time.
He does not get the Super Scoop Up heads here. He will not be able to bring back a Pokemon to his hand.
And it looks like he could Ultra Ball and go for Shaman, but he's going to go ahead and use his supporter. So he's going to use the Sycamore here and draw himself 7 fresh cards. He does find a lot of purple.
A lot of purple indeed. That's 2 more Zubats coming down into play. That's the perfect Pokemon to find right now.
And I mean, he's got the stadium as well. This could lock out some Shamans if we don't see the Forest of Giant Plants come down. Jesper does play 4, but I don't see one right now.
That's right. That Silent Lab is potentially very powerful here in this very first turn of the game because your opponent just really wants to set up with Shamans. He wants to be able to set up a couple of times probably.
Yeah.
We saw how in the very first turn of the game last time, he did set up twice before he even passed his very first turn.
Yeah, Jesper's going to take some time, look through his deck.
Ultra Ball discards 2 Pokemon into the discard pile. Remember, these Pokemon want to be in that discard pile to defeat Vespiquen's attack.
Right, he's just trying to find that magic number. He needs to get 7 Pokemon in the discard pile if he wants to knock out Seismitoads in one shot. And he does have a supporter in his hand as well. I believe he had the Sycamore, so this turn is not over as well. He could possibly judge, but I think we're going to see him playing the Sycamore here.
That Revitalizer is going to bring both of those Pokemon back to his hand.
Look at him. He's just playing good because he can play it.
And sure enough, they go right back to that discard pile where they belong, as a Sycamore is going to draw him 7 additional cards.
The next level plays.
The next level plays
down.
indeed.
Did he find the forest?
I don't know. I didn't quite get a glimpse of it.
It looks like it is right there.
There is a
yeah,
forest
that
of giant
is.
plants. Now, does he have evolutions here? Will he be able to attack on his first turn?
He does have the Yanmega, so he can probably get himself down to 4 cards if he chooses to.
He
had
does
the
have a Battle
Compressor
Compressor.
as
He's also
well.
got an Ultra Ball. He's discarding a double Colorless Energy and an N here.
Now, we'll see. He's going to have the Shaman, but does he hold on to some of these cards so that he knows that he can get himself down to a 4-card hand potentially? Or is he just going to take a little bit of a risk here and play maybe one or even both of them?
I don't know. That is definitely up to Jesper. He definitely knows his deck much better than either you or me, but he does have cards he can very easily play.
We are going to see he is going to do that just there. He knows that he has 2 cards that he can play. It looks like he has a couple more as well. So very favorable turn. He needed that forest, and look where it's got him. He's got 140 HP.
Look at that Yon Mega Break come down on the very first turn of the game for him.
Beautiful. 140 hit points is going to be so difficult for Connor to work through. And with all these attacks coming in at the cost of nothing for Jesper, it's got to be disheartening for Connor. He's going to lose his Zubats, and this is the way that we thought that he would be able to stay in the game, is if he's able to evolve these Pokemon.
I mean, not only that, but he's also facing down a Yon Mega Break with 140 hit points on the first turn of the game. Like, your Quaking Punch deals 30 damage, man.
Yeah. I mean, that's just what Forest is able to do for these kind of decks, and we're going to see Ariados is not a very important Pokemon, as we spoke of in the first game, just throws it away, and he's just building up that count in his discard piles for the Vespiquen eventually.
If you're Connor, you've noticed you can't even attack yet. Your opponent's already attacking for free. 4-card hand does allow him to attack for free, and he does knock out the Zubat. The first prize of the game is taken by Jesper here. A double Colorless Energy comes down into the Seismitoad. Sure enough, a Lysander strategy one more time. Why not? Lysander's up a Shaman. Quaking Punch. Now, Shaman does get a double Colorless Energy attached to it. This time around, it will not get stuck in that active position. It actually retreats for with using that double Colorless Energy, and Yon Mega is going to be dealing 100 damage there.
Yeah, it does not apply weakness with the attack, so Seismitoad will be safe for at least one more turn, and Jesper doesn't have that AZ accessible to him. It was in his prize cards this game, so he can't do his play, but he does have the energy to retreat.
Now look at that Seismitoad actually gearing up to potentially a Grenade Hammer at some point. Not something you really see out of these Seismitoad Crobat decks too often.
Yeah, and I mean it won't even knock out the Yanmega. He's got so
well,
much.
He's got a Golbat in his.
Yeah, he'd have to use his.
If he
bite.
chooses to Sneaky Bite onto the Yon Mega Break, he would be able to knock it out with Grenade Hammer.
And this is all damage, however, that he really would want to be putting on Combies. So he has to invest all these extra placements on. He has to invest the one more there. And these Combies are just sitting pretty. If a Vespiquen comes up, I mean, he has access to items this turn with the Grenade Hammer.
What choice does Connor really have, though? I mean, you're already facing down a Yon Mega Break from your opponent's very first.
Oh, yeah, you have to get rid of it.
Now down goes that Yon Mega Break, and that's a big knockout here from Connor. That Yon Mega Break was causing him a lot of trouble. And sure enough, now that Combi comes up, he does have a double Colorless Energy still in his hand. He does have a level ball as well. Remember, there was no Quaking Punch this last turn. He chose to Grenade Hammer instead. That level ball can find him a Vespiquen. He already has the double Colorless in his hand. If he has enough Pokemon in the discard pile, which he does thanks to Battle Compressors, he will be able to knock out this Seismitoad. And he's going to leave his opponent with only a Golbat with 30 HP, or with 30 damage on it, and a Zubat with 30 damage on it as well.
Yeah, he's going to thin out his deck a little bit more with the Battle Compressor and just get his damage count up a little bit more. I think he's got enough Pokemon in the discard pile already, so he might just be getting rid of some cards that he just doesn't want to see anymore.
You've got to believe that Jesper is feeling the victory right now. You've got to believe that Jesper is just thinking,
I mean, he's on a roll, and he's staring down. His opponent just really doesn't have too much going on the other side. It's got to be a pretty good feeling. He also has a supporter in his hand as well. He can play that in while it still has some effect to him, because he's going to be putting himself down to 3 prize cards after the end of this turn.
That's very true. Now, he does have the double Colorless in hand already as well, so he's in no danger of not attacking. Attaches that double colorless. Connor does get that bad news and does bring him back up to a 5-card hand before he has to attack. And Connor does go down to a 5-card hand as well.
Yeah, and I mean, what does Connor have to find here to really come back into this game? Because
what? You mean how many cards does Connor have to find? Because he's going to have to find quite a few.
yeah, I mean, he has Crobat, Golbat, that's 50, and then from there, I mean, he can't. There's no reasonable way to knock out this Vespiquen even.
So here's the strategy. At this point, Connor's got to be playing for the long game. He's got to try to knock out the Vespiquen over the next couple of turns, maybe through some Crobat activations and maybe a Quaking Punch at some point.
Yeah.
But then after he does that, he has to end his opponent down to a low hand and just hope that Jesper's luck's right now.
Oh, he even has the Bursting Balloon as well, so if these Pokemon do attack into him, they're going to get damaged. Golbat can't even attack anymore, the Zubat either. They'll just get knocked out, so he has to have these evolutions as well.
That Versus Seeker does find him a Lysander. He chooses to do so to avoid getting Quaking Punch locked out of there. And that Seismitoad does go down. Jesper is down to 3 prize cards left against his opponent's 5.
Yeah, he's 1 game up, 2 prizes ahead. Board state looks pretty good for him. Jesper has to be feeling good here. And now the pressure's all on Connor. He has to find a way to get through this Vespiquen.
That's right. Connor Pedersen does attach a double colorless energy to a brand new Seismitoad. That Ultra Ball is going to find him any Pokemon he wants to find in his deck. Likely going to be a Shaman here. Could be a Crobat, though.
Yeah, we'll see what the rest of his hand really has for him. He's looking through, and yeah, he just needs to draw a lot of cards. You said he's going to need a lot of cards if he wants to answer this board state, and Shaman's one way to do that.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to need to draw a heavy Crobat line. He's got to swarm these Crobats. He's got to play for the long game. Like I said, he has to allow his opponent to take
now,
1 to 2 more prize cards here.
The one way to do this, he has the Fighting Fury belt. That puts him up to 40 attack. So if he has a Crobat and a Golbat, he can actually knock out this Vespiquen this turn.
That's a good point. Now, does he find him, though?
He's got the Lugia.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is going to help too much in this matchup.
Rough Seas does counter that Force the Giant Plant, so you will not be seeing some Yon Mega Break craziness.
Sorry,
Ultra
everyone.
Ultra Ball finds him any other Pokemon again. What Pokemon will he be going for? Will he be going for another Shaman?
I think he has to.
Finally going for a Crobat?
Unless he already has the Golbat in hand. I don't think I saw it, though.
I see a Crobat deal 30 damage.
Oh, he's going to have the end. So
the final card in his hand was an N, and now he's going to bring Jesper down to a 3-card hand. He's going to bring himself back up to 5. If he can find a Golbat here, miracles can happen, my friend.
Right, and once again, it's putting Jesper down in a low enough hand to where maybe he can't get anything going. If he can't find double colorless energy,
this is exactly what
how does he answer?
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. This is exactly what Connor needed. Remember, Jesper has no possible attackers besides that Vespiquen, which doesn't have a double colorless energy attached to it yet. He already used the double colorless to retreat that Shaman. He's not particularly high on resources here.
Yeah, and I mean, if he has the Golbat, he's going to be using Quaking Punch, and that means all item cards are going to be doing
5 cards. Does he find the Golbat? He does find the Golbat.
Wow,
that
there
Golbat
it
comes
is.
down.
Yeah.
He's going to deal 20 more damage to that Vespiquen. That Vespiquen is going to be getting knocked out by this Quaking Punch, and now Connor's got some sort of hope here. He's finding the few cards he can find to be able to get himself right back into this game.
Yeah, and Jesper now has to battle through item
Does
lock.
Jesper have another top deck in him?
No.
Doesn't seem like it. It
He
doesn't
just
seem like
has
it.
to
Jesper
pass.
just passes. Vespiquen active. Does Connor have what it takes here?
Yeah, he's looking to go ahead and charge up that Lugia. We said it can't do too much in this matchup here, but if he finds another double colorless energy, then maybe he can start scoring some big knockouts.
That's one way to go about it. Remember that Lugia EX has 170 hit points, and it is not weak to grass, which is the most relevant part of the game here.
He'd be looking to do a couple deep Hurricane attacks, and he can also just be removing some stadium, or using the stadium and then just removing it. So no Forest of Giant Plants, and that can limit what Jesper has as well.
Connor had to hope that his opponent just finally stopped top decking, and it does Super Scoop Up. Brings that any Pokemon he wants.
Yeah, it's going to... we're going to go ahead and go
They
to
have to flip a coin here, apparently.
Coin flip. Yeah.
So that Super Scoop Up is not a heads quite yet. He's going to flip it. Will he be able to get heads this way? It's out of the camera's angle, but he does get a heads. That heads brings up that Crobat. That Crobat is nice and fresh now. Brings down a Zubat now.
And yeah,
And now that Golbat can evolve into this fresh Crobat. That Crobat is going to be... Oh, he's thinking about it. He does deal 30 damage to the Vespiquen in the active spot.
Yeah, I mean, once again, this just sets up for the Golbat next turn to beautifully knock out the Vespiquen, and Seismitoad can keep this lock going. So
Connor just has to hope that his opponent does not top deck for one more turn. One more turn does he not have it? He has the Lysander, but the Lysander can only really bring up a Shaman. Not too much else he can do here.
Yeah,
Sure enough, Lysander brings up Shaman. Does Connor have what it takes to retreat here? Remember, he does play quite a few water energies in his deck, as we've already seen him Grenade Hammer.
Yeah, I haven't seen one just yet, but he does have a VS Seeker.
He has a Versus
Seeker. Some options. It is. He's actually got the AZ there, so he's probably just going to pick this up and hold on to the Shaman.
Golbat knocks out the Vespiquen. Down goes Vespiquen. No more attackers.
Oh, he even has the Super Scoop up there, too.
Super Scoop up will...
Oh, he's got
to flip a coin.
He's getting heads with these dice, but got to use the coin here.
Will that coin land heads? It does not.
Unfortunately not.
That Super Scoop up his tails. He does have the Versus Seeker for the AZ, though. AZ brings that Shaman right back up to his hand.
Yeah, and we will see. He's going to bring up a free retreater first and just mull over his options. I love seeing this out of players. Just wants to make sure he sees every possible option before he goes into attacking.
Connor finding ways to bring himself back into this game out of nowhere. Remember, Jesper has a matchup advantage. He has a type advantage. He knocks out Seismitoads with ease, and Connor is somehow, some way sticking in this game. A Force of Giant Plants does counter a Rough Seas, though. And a Judge top deck does bring both players down or up to a 4-card hand here.
Yet, Jesper needs to find a Yanmega to really get some more stuff rolling, but he won't be able to use the attack then because he's gonna play one of the 4 cards.
I mean, he can find a Shaman, he can set his hand. He's got plenty of options if he does top deck. He needs cards, though, that allow him to work with here.
Yeah, and it's hard when you play so many item cards and then you're under a Quaking Punch lock, so he's going to have to find these cards through that, and you can't really discard too much to get your Shaman to give you a bunch of cards then.
Draws 4 cards. Will he find what he needs? He finds a Versus Seeker, but he's already played a supporter.
No.
Aside from that, he really has nothing going for him besides the Yanmega. Yanmega just evolves, but he's down to a 3-card hand and he cannot attack.
And he really can't do...
Delinquent brings his opponent down to a 0-card hand. Delinquent at the perfect time. 0 cards in hand for Jesper Eriksen. Good luck getting to 4 cards now.
Yeah, he's going to go ahead and take 40 more damage here. And, I mean, the pressure's on. He needs to top deck a supporter right now.
Top decks. What does he have? Just passes the turn. Connor, out of nowhere, bringing the game right back to him.
Yeah,
you can feel the energy here from Connor. Connor feels like there's finally a chance for him to win this game. Versus Seeker.
Yeah, he can grab AZ and pick up his Crobat and then just start to knock out these Pokemon with the sneaky damage. So it brings up the Shaman and starts to put a little more damage down.
Crobat, Evolution, knockout on Yanmega. You're absolutely right, Kyle. He is down to a single Pokemon in play, and the Pokemon is just Shaman. He has no evolutions in play, no Stadium in play.
What a turnaround.
No hand.
Yeah. And you just see Jesper's just hand on his head. Just what can I do from this point?
Draws an Ultra Ball. That's absolutely it. Jesper Eriksen concedes this game, and we are going to a Game 3, Kyle.
I did not see this coming.
I don't think anybody did. I'm jumping out of my seat here. Losing my headset and everything.
I mean, that was just so well played by Connor. He put himself in a great position, and he just knew exactly what he needed to do to win this game, which seems so unfavored.
I mean, we said it at the end of Game 1, right? Connor's been playing extremely well. Connor absolutely played Game 1 very well. He gave himself the best possible chances he could. It's just Jesper happened to have the right cards at the right time. He happened to draw into the right cards at the right time. At no point did Connor really feel in the game after Jesper's draws. The second game was completely the different way, a different story here, as Jesper just could not find what he needed. It's a very difficult task to do so. I mean, really, you're being brought down to 2 to 3 cards in your deck. Your deck is something like 30 cards at that point. There's only a few relevant cards, and he just couldn't find them.
Yeah, and I mean, if a third or even half of them are item cards, none of them help you. So he just draws into a bunch of blanks and it just has to watch himself slowly get eaten alive by
That's the power of Quaking Punch.
Yeah.
I mean, really, we've seen this Crobat Seismitoad deck dominate, tournaments from, years and years past. It seemed like the deck was just nowhere to be found anymore because, finally we had too many Pokemon that just dealt too much damage, just did too much that the Seismitoad Crobat deck could not, came up short against.
Yeah.
At this point in time, we're seeing that the deck is still so powerful. Unbelievable.
And how much of that do you think really equated to going first? Because I feel like once he was able to, once Connor was able to give himself that big board state and really just work on it and get some Crobat evolutions down, and you get the Golbat and the Crobats, it seemed like everything started to work out for him.
Maybe, but at the same
quickly.
time, remember, this second game, we saw a Yanmega break actually knock out on the very first turn of the game a Zubat. On Jesper's very first turn anyways. So, I mean, even going second, really, the Yanmega deck just has so many different things that it can do. It attacked for free. It dealt 100 damage on the first turn with 140 HP break Pokemon.
Yeah, we have to think back even. He was using, he got off a grenade hammer. And
Right.
There was so much going on in that game.
So many things had to happen.
It looked so bad from that spot, and he just worked his way through, and I mean...
At one point, he actually had only a Golbat and a Zubat in play, both with 30 damage on him.
How do you win from there?
Apparently,
I'm going to have to go back and watch.
Apparently, you have to be Connor. Both players are shuffling up now. We are going to a game 3. Will we see an epic game just like the second game? The first game was actually relatively close too, even though the prize cards weren't as close as they could have been. Well, actually, let's take a look at the prizes real quick. A double Colorless Energy and a Yanmega Break, as well as a Vespiquen. These prizes are, potentially harmful. Yeah. Now we see an AZ and a double Colorless Energy to go with a couple of Sycamores. I don't know, man. Seems like the prize advantage is actually going to Jesper.
I'd have
think
to say that as
Connor's
well.
prizes are pretty bad.
And it looks like Jesper's going to be able to play most of his hand out as well, so expect an explosive start here.
I would expect nothing less from Jesper.
He's got the battle
Considering
compressor.
benching a Spinnerack, he does... Or actually,
there's
that's a
a
Combi.
Combi there.
Yeah. He does play Battle Compressor on the first turn.
This is where I expect to see Spinnerack.
Right.
There he is.
Where it belongs.
Yeah. Welcome to your home.
All right.
Grab those.
Spinnerack, Ariados, and a Sycamore go into the discard pile. The Sycamore is going to be going into the discard pile for Versus Seeker, potentially.
Yeah.
If your resources are low, you at least have a Versus Seeker that can bring up a Sycamore at some point.
Yeah, a lot of players don't think about this. They see the Shaman, and they're like, oh, I'm just going to draw cards anyways. I don't really need to think about that. Let's get some more Pokemon. But he knows he's just going to give himself a little bit better odds when he has that VS Seeker potentially off the Shaman.
Hedging his bets. Now, an Ultra Ball is going to discard one of his Shamans, and he will find any Pokemon he wants to find. He can start finding, maybe another Combi, maybe another Yanma. The Combi will be the Pokemon he finds, though. Vespiquen is his early attacker. That's just the way to go. I mean, you want to knock out these Seismitoads. You want to put pressure on your opponent. Really, Jesper's strategy and Jesper's deck are favored here. We saw Connor pull off the improbable the second game, but at the same time, Jesper happens to be favored in this matchup.
Yeah, you can go ahead and you can start to see how this game is setting up. With the Yanma and the Bursting Balloon, a Quaking Punch immediately is going to place 60 damage on Connor, which means that Jesper doesn't need too much damage to get this opening knockout with a Vespiquen. He doesn't need to throw too many Pokemon in the discard pile. So right away, we could see Jesper take that early advantage that we're so used to seeing.
That's right, and Jesper's absolutely taking advantage of the fact that he can actually play items right now. Remember, he's not guaranteed to be able to play items for the remainder of the game. So.
Everybody loves 6 cards off of the Shaman, except the opponent.
Yeah, no kidding. Set up for 6 here. Will he find more resources? Will he find more cards? Will he find a Force of Giant Plans? I think he did. Another Battle Compressor. I was just about to say that the Battle Compressor is the most crucial card to play on your first turn here against the Seismitoad deck. You want to guarantee yourself one-hit KOs from your second turn on.
Yeah, and it just means that you're just making your deck more supporter heavy. When all these cards start to go to the discard pile, you're more likely to draw into these options that we saw him hit so often in the first game.
It's going to be a very uphill battle here for Connor. His opponent is getting the exact cards he needs to get on this early turn to really set himself up for the following couple of turns. And now Connor's Seismitoads are just they're definitely feeling the pressure.
Yeah, it's such a helpless feeling being on the other side and watching all of this set up. But Connor's thinking of what he's going to be doing in these.
Did Battle Compressor just get a Force of Giant Plants and a Yanma?
Yeah, it looks like he just stopped at the 2 there.
That's a very interesting scenario. Like normally you go for the full 3 this early on. You find another Pokemon maybe.
Doesn't look like he has too much going on in the rest of his hand though. He drew the Shaman just drew into nothing for him.
Remember he Ultra Balled his Shaman away too.
Yeah,
and actually he just plays a Force of Giant Plants and passes. Connor's got to be feeling good about that. Now
Startling Megaphone.
Yeah, Startling Megaphone does get rid of that Bursting Balloon before it can deal any type of damage to the Seismitoad. Ultra Ball is going to find him a Zubat, discarding a Golbat.
And a beautiful Ultra Ball here.
Another Ultra Ball.
Shaman.
Finds him a Shaman. Shaman's going to be setting him up for 6 now.
Yeah, you remember
Little
that?
tit for tat.
Everyone loves doing it except the opponent, right? Connor's like, all right, you had your fun. Now it's my turn. And you didn't play too much from the rest of your Shaman, so maybe you don't have too much going on. If I get these Zubats set up, I might be in a pretty good spot.
Right. Anything you can do,
What
I
if
can do
they're
better.
all
Let's
items?
see.
You can just put your Quaking Punch lock into play, and I mean, we might see something very similar to Game 2.
All right, 6 cards drawn here for Connor. Will Connor find what he needs? Remember, Jesper didn't.
We do see a Zubat. It's a very big pickup here, and it looks like one of his only options is the N. He might have to just give Jesper
really
no,
just
he
going to play an
doesn't
N right
know
there.
that,
He
yeah.
saw his opponent had no relevant cards in his hand. He saw his opponent just basically passed. He was almost forced to end Jesper. And you see both of these players just shaking their heads. Connor knows that he really doesn't want to be doing that for Jesper, and Jesper is breathing a sigh of relief because this hand was awful. Jesper's hand was absolutely unplayable there, and that N is just. It's an unfortunate
He's got to work on
series
his
of
poker
events.
face a little bit. He's just like, that hand was so bad.
Unfortunate series of events here for Connor. He has to bail his opponent out of that awful hand.
Yeah, we'll see what Jesper's able to pick up
He's
from
looking
this.
for that double colorless energy, man. He really needs the Quaking Punch here. He has an Ultra Ball.
Yeah, he can, and he's got the belt as well. But I mean, you don't want to play into Yanmega too much. So do you have to play this on Pokemon like the Shaman EX?
That's right, and he Ultra Balls now. Ultra Balling away Versus Seeker and a Silent Lab. Ultra Balling away that Silent Lab tells me that he's going to be going for another Shaman. He does find that Shaman. Going to find himself more cards. He still needs that double colorless energy. He has not found it yet in these 15 or so cards that he's seen through.
Yeah, he's been working for it, but this just hasn't shown up just yet. This opening Quaking Punch is pretty big. He just really needs to just try to slow down Jesper as much as possible.
Here we go, a setup. Will the setup be for 5 or 6? It'll be for 5. He has a lone N in his hand. Will he find the double colorless energy? I only see water so far. What? Oh, the double colorless energy right off the last card. He is going to be able to Quaking Punch here and not lock his opponent out of item cards. The final card drawn was that double colorless energy.
Jesper has to be seeing. I mean, he sees it come off as the very last card. He's like, come on, I'm so close.
My goodness. Now a Sycamore here for Jesper. Remember, he was down to nothing relevant in his hand. Had his opponent not played that in here, he would have been forced to draw off the top of his deck. Now he has 7 new cards to deal with. He finds a double colorless energy. Does he find evolutions, though?
And he finds the last card is his Vespiquen.
The Vespiquen was the final card. He has the double colorless energy. He's going to be retreating. He has enough Pokemon to knock out that Seismitoad. The Seismitoad goes down. 2 prizes taken for Jesper. And now, once again, back against the wall for Connor here.
Last card every time.
Lugia EX comes down, it gets a Fighting Fury belt attached to it, and an N brings Jesper down to a 4-card hand. Connor back up to a 6.
Wow.
It seemed like Connor had found the perfect top deck, found that Quaking Punch, but remember, 6 new cards here for Jesper just really ended up backfiring for Connor.
Yeah, Connor's going to have to invest a little bit more time into this Vespiquen than he would like to. Probably has to find a double colorless energy on his Shaman and Sky Return even, just to put some damage down and maybe potentially set up the Quaking Punch in the future turns, along with some Golbat sneaky placements.
Right. One more time, he's got to go. He's got to play for the long game. He cannot be thinking about the short-term strategies. He's got to be looking to just slowly grind out this game, knock out the Vespiquen through extra damage through sneaky placements and sneaky bites, and he's got to be hoping to lock his opponent out with an N.
It looks like he has a lot of the cards he needs. He's going to find a Golbat here. He has the double colorless energy, so he has the tools to play this out. He just has to make sure that he gets it in the right order. It looks like he's going to be able to do it, though.
Sure enough, an Ultra Ball does deal 20. Does bring a Golbat, which deals 20 damage to that Yanmega. That's 50 damage onto it. He's 60 hit points away from being knocked out.
Yeah, it's an interesting spot to put it there. He could have
Right.
placed it on the Vespiquen, and with a Sky Return, he would just be a Crobat away from knocking out this Vespiquen. But it looks like he's going to go ahead. He actually has the double colorless. This is very unusual to see Arrow Ball actually getting a knockout here because he has the double colorless energy.
That's
there.
right. Because the Vespiquen had a double colorless energy attached to it, the double colors from the Lugia would allow it to deal 80, but because there's also a Fighting Fury belt, there's that magic 90 damage, and down went the Vespiquen. Sure enough, he once again, Connor's playing extremely well. Special Charge now brings the double colorless energy back into Jesper's deck. But yeah, I have to believe that Connor's just playing this matchup about as well as he can, and so is Jesper, to be honest with you.
Yeah, a lot of the times we're just not used to seeing energies on the active Pokemon. I mean, but right here we see that, and what a big turn here. He's Jesper's going to get himself 7 fresh cards, has the Yanmega break along with a bursting balloon. He's going to get to put down some pretty nice damage.
A Vesselquin comes down. That's going to be an additional attacker at some point. I do see a double colorless energy in Jesper's hand, so he will be able to attack with the Vesselquin whenever he chooses to. The Jan Mega Break has a bursting balloon attached to it. He's going to be able to attach a bursting balloon onto the Vesselquin just to bring his hand down to a 4 cards. Plays a Versus Seeker in case he gets Quaking Punch locked. And now a Revitalizer is going to potentially bring back any 2 Pokemon that are grass from his discard pile. Finds a Combee and a Vesselquin, immediately evolves them using Forest of Giant Plants. Level Ball finds him any 90 HP or less Pokemon. He's looking for a Yanma. Does bring down that Yanma. Does he have a 4 card hand?
Yeah, he has to hold on to this in his
Yeah.
hand. I was worried about that for a second because he needs to have 4 cards.
All right, so it is wise to bring it back up to your hand. And then, I mean, if you bench it any, later on anyways, that's fine. But you do want to keep your options open and figure out which card you're going to get rid of.
Right. We see that, I mean, Yanmega's going to get to do a pretty good chunk of damage here.
Jesper's going to want to play a double colorless energy at some point to, to hedge his bets against an Ed, but at the same time, he doesn't want to get Lysander knocked out. So it's close. But he does actually just deal 120 damage here because
Assault Boom,
because of
man.
that, right? Because of the tool attached to the Lugia.
Right, and now we see
Crobat
Crobat's
deals
going
30
to come
damage
in
to
and
that
put a
Jan
little
Mega
work.
Break.
VS Seeker.
Down comes the VS Seeker, and what does he need? Looks like he's just going to go ahead and find himself an N and try to disrupt Jesper a little bit more.
There's that N again. Like I said, he's got to hope that his opponent at some point just starts missing. Remember, early on in this game, Jesper actually missed himself. He actually had to bail his opponent out, did Connor. But now at this point, he's hoping that he can kind of return the favor and bring his opponent right back down to a zero relevant cards.
Yeah, we are getting word it's Jesper, so forgive us in our American pronunciations.
Right.
We're going to go ahead and see. I mean, Jesper needs to find himself a couple good cards off of this N here to really keep going in this matchup. Probably a lot of double colorless energy as well.
We'll have to wait and see here. That N will bring him back up to 5. Jesper only has 4 cards, which actually happens to be the right number to have anyways.
Yeah, we see a water energy, and Connor's thinking over really where do I want to start committing to. He's just going to put everything into his Lugia.
All right, well, that Lugia is going to be taking 60 more damage because of that bursting balloon. Jesper's Jan Mega Break does go down, so Connor does take a prize here, but and the bursting balloon on the Vesselquin goes down. But will that be enough? Remember, this Lugia has 180 damage already on it. It only has 30 hit points left.
Yep, Jesper's going to play the Ultra Ball here and just try to get a little more going. Sees the Combee, so he's going to go ahead and grab that and try to work on what else he can really get moving here. Probably has to find some energy, man.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume so. I would assume you definitely need energy to be able to attack here. Not every Pokemon is Jan Mega.
You get used to it. But yeah, we will see
does have that
Combee
Versus
evolving into the Vespaquin, and then the VS
Versus-
comes down as well.
Yep, first the Seeker finds him a Sycamore. That's going to be 7 new cards here for Jesper. Will he find what he needs? He finds a double colorless energy right away, so he will be able to knock out that Lugia with the Vespaquin if he chooses to.
Yeah, also found a lot of great cards. He's got the AZ as well.
Very clever play here. He actually attaches it to the Shaman because it already has 180 hit points on, or 180 damage on it. Only 30 hit points remaining, which is the perfect amount for a Shaman here.
Yeah, only unfortunate piece of this is that he won't have an energy sticking to his board if Connor is able to play an N. But,
Right.
I mean, these are some of the risks that you take here.
Remember, this is the perfect opening here for Connor. Connor has to play the long game, and this is where it's supposed to pay dividends. This is, I mean, here Jesper's playing a Versus Seeker because he really doesn't have much of a choice. He has to hedge his bets against the Quaking Punch lock. So if Connor actually plays an N here and brings his opponent down to 2 cards, that's 1 less Versus Seeker he can top deck.
Yep. Here comes the Sky Return, and
Sure enough, Sky Return
down
brings
goes
that
Lugia.
Shaman back to his hand. 2 prizes left here for Jesper. Will Connor find what he needs?
2 prizes separating Jesper from the World Championship. Connor has to stop him now.
Connor only has an AZ in his hand, I think. That's not what you want to be seeing as far as supporters are concerned. At that point, remember, you already know your opponent has a double colorless energy and a Lysander in his hand, so the AZ would almost lock him out of this game. Oh, yes.
Goes ahead and picks up his Seismitoad with the AZ.
The AZ does pick up a Seismitoad. Remember, the only EX he has left in play is a 150 hit points Shaman. Does Jesper have what it takes to deal 150 damage with the Vespaquin?
Yeah, he's looking now, I don't know how many Pokemon he has in the discard pile, and I assume it's not too much. He's going to go ahead and just play the Yanmega down and use the Ultra Ball here, discarding only one Pokemon. He's going to get the second one down with the Shaman. I mean, it's just hard to get that much damage when you play 24 Pokemon. He's got so many of these Pokemon evolved on his bench already, and hitting 150 is very difficult. He's going to look over what he can grab here. It looks like he's going to go ahead and take the break, give himself a little bit more HP, and just make a couple more threats on this board. We see he's got the energy as well, so he's got a bunch of options coming into this turn, but just what's going to be the most effective for him?
Well, those are some great questions, Kyle, and I guess we're going to have to get an answer here. Does he have enough Pokemon in the discard pile? He brings up the Vespiquen. He knocks out a Crobat, so the game is not over yet. Jesper does go down to a single prize, but Connor still has some hope left in him. Does he top deck what he needs? He draws a double or water energy that might not be enough. He has to Sycamore his hand away, but he already knows his opponent has a Lysander in his hand.
Yeah, I mean, Jesper had enough to knock out a Crobat, but I guess just not enough to knock out that Shaman EX, and down goes everything that Connor really had in his hand going for him. We'll see what he's able to draw off this. I don't see too much that he can really work with.
Well, that's really the story that we're seeing here. A Golbat does come down and deals 20.
He just has to retreat to Shaman and pass the turn and hope that there's not enough. The Sycamore's going to discard, I believe that's enough Pokemon, and that's going to be the game.
That is the game. Connor Pedersen goes down 2-1 against our 2016 Senior Division World Champion, Jesper Eriksen.